She agreed to marry a sleeping stranger for one reason, to pay for her mother's surgery. But seconds after saying, "I do," she saw it. His eyes, wide open, staring right at her. He'd been faking his coma for 6 months. And his father had a remote that could stop his heart. Drop a comment. "What time is it where you are? Let's begin." Zara Mitchell's hand shook as she pushed the mop across the shiny hospital floor. Her faded blue scrubs were damp with sweat, and her white sneakers squeaked with every step. She had been working for 12 hours straight, but she couldn't stop. Not now. Not when her mother was dying 3 floors above her. "Please," she whispered to herself, touching the silver locket around her neck, the one her mother gave her on her 10th birthday. "Please let there be enough money." But Zara knew the truth. There wasn't enough money. There would never be enough money. The surgery her mother needed cost more than Zara could make in 5 years of cleaning floors and emptying trash cans. Every day, her mother got weaker. Every day, the light in her eyes got dimmer. Zara was losing her, and there was nothing she could do about it. "Miss Mitchell?" Zara jumped and spun around. A tall man, in a black 3-piece suit, stood behind her. His shoes were so shiny she could see her reflection in them. Gold cufflinks glittered at his wrists. His eyes were cold, like frozen water. "Yes." Zara's voice came out small and scared. "My name is Theodore Sinclair," the man said. His voice was smooth and dangerous, like a snake sliding through grass. "I own Sinclair Industries. Perhaps you've heard of me?" Everyone had heard of Theodore Sinclair. He was one of the richest, most powerful men in the city. His company built buildings, made medicine, and controlled half the businesses in town. People whispered that he was cruel, that he cared more about money than people. "What do you want with me?" Zara asked. Mr. Sinclair smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "I have a problem, Miss Mitchell, and I believe you can help me solve it." "Me? I'm just a janitor. I can't help someone like you." "Oh, but you can." Mr. Sinclair pulled out a folder and handed it to her. "My son, Owen, was in a terrible car accident 6 months ago. He's been in a coma ever since. The doctors say he'll never wake up." Zara opened the folder. Inside was a picture of a young man with dark hair and a strong face. Even in a hospital bed, wearing a plain white gown, he looked important somehow. "I'm sorry about your son," Zara said quietly, "but I still don't understand what this has to do with me." Mr. Sinclair's cold eyes locked onto hers. "I need someone to marry him." Zara almost dropped the folder. "What? That's crazy. You can't marry someone who's asleep." "Actually, I can, with the right paperwork and the right doctors signing the right forms." Mr. Sinclair stepped closer. His shadow fell over Zara like a dark cloud. "Here's what I'm offering you, Miss Mitchell. You marry my son. You sign the papers. You play the role of the loving wife for the cameras and the lawyers. And in return, I will pay for your mother's surgery. All of it. The best doctors. The best hospital. She'll live." Zara's heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her chest. "Why would you do this? What do you really want? That's not your concern. All you need to know is this. Agree to my terms, and your mother lives. Refuse, and—" He shrugged. "Well, I hear she only has a few weeks left." It felt like ice water had been dumped over Zara's head. How did he know that? How did he know anything about her mother? "You've been watching me," she whispered. "I watch everyone who might be useful to me," Mr. Sinclair said. "Now, do we have a deal? Or shall I leave you to mop floors while your mother dies?" Zara wanted to scream. She wanted to throw the folder in his face and tell him to leave her alone. But when she closed her eyes, all she could see was her mother's gentle smile, her mother's weak hand holding hers, her mother's voice saying, "Don't cry for me, baby. You've been the best daughter in the whole world. If I do this," Zara said slowly, "you promise you'll get the surgery? You promise you'll be okay?" "I always keep my promises, Miss Mitchell. The question is, do you have the courage to save her?" Zara thought about her mother reading her bedtime stories when she was little. She thought about her mother working 3 jobs to buy Zara school supplies. She thought about her mother teaching her to be brave, to be strong, to never give up. I'll do it, Zara said. Her voice didn't shake anymore. I'll marry your son. Mr. Sinclair's smile grew wider. Excellent. The wedding is tomorrow. Tomorrow? But that's not negotiable. My assistant, Vanessa, will bring you appropriate clothes. Don't be late, Miss Mitchell. Your mother's life depends on it. The next day felt like a dream, or maybe a nightmare. Zara stood in a small, private room at the hospital, wearing a simple white dress that Vanessa had brought her. It wasn't fancy, but it was the nicest thing Zara had ever worn. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Stop fidgeting, Vanessa snapped. She was a sharp-faced woman in a tight gray business dress and heels that clicked like tiny hammers on the floor. You look like a scared rabbit. You're supposed to be a bride, not a prisoner. I feel like both, Zara muttered. The ceremony room was cold and white. There were no flowers, no music, no guests, just a judge who barely looked at them, 2 nurses as witnesses, and Owen Sinclair lying in a hospital bed, completely still. Zara walked slowly to the bed and looked down at him. Owen had thick, dark hair that fell across his forehead. His face was peaceful, but pale. Machines beeped softly around him, tracking his heartbeat, his breathing, his life. He looks so young, Zara whispered. He's 28, Mr. Sinclair said from behind her. Now, let's begin. We don't have all day. The judge started reading from a paper in a bored voice. Zara barely heard the words. She kept staring at Owen, wondering what kind of person he was. Was he kind? Mean? Funny? Sad? Would he be angry if he knew what was happening? Do you, Zara Mitchell, take Owen Sinclair to be your husband? Zara's throat was so tight she could barely breathe. I do. And by the power given to me by the state, I now pronounce you husband and wife. That was it. No kiss. No celebration. Just signatures on a paper that changed everything. Zara reached out and gently touched Owen's hand. It was warm. His chest rose and fell with steady breaths. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry I'm doing this to you. But my mother... Suddenly, Owen's hand moved. Zara gasped and jumped back. Did you see that? His hand moved. Muscle spasm. Vanessa said coldly, It happens sometimes. It doesn't mean anything. But as Zara stared at Owen's face, something made her blood turn to ice. His eyes were open, just a tiny bit, just enough for her to see him looking at her through his dark lashes. And in that brief second before his eyes closed again, Zara saw something that made her heart stop. He was awake. Owen Sinclair wasn't a coma at all. He had been pretending the whole time. And now, Zara was married to him, trapped in whatever terrible game Mr. Sinclair was playing. She wanted to scream, to run, to tell everyone what she'd seen. But Vanessa's hand clamped down on her shoulder like a metal trap. Congratulations, Mrs. Sinclair, Vanessa whispered in her ear. Welcome to the family. And remember, we're always watching. Zara looked back at Owen one more time. His eyes were closed again, his face peaceful and still. But she knew the truth now. She had just married a man who was lying about everything. And somehow, she had to figure out why, before it was too late. Zara didn't sleep that night. How could she? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Owen's dark eyes staring at her through his lashes. He was awake. He knew everything. But why was he pretending? And what would happen if she told someone? The next morning, Vanessa appeared at Zara's tiny apartment with 2 large suitcases. Pack your things, Vanessa said, clicking across the floor in her sharp black heels. She wore a blood-red business dress today, and her lips were painted the same color. You're moving into the Sinclair mansion. Starting today, you're Owen's wife, and you need to act like it. But my mother is having her surgery this afternoon at St. Mary's Hospital. The best surgeon's money can buy. Vanessa's smile was thin and cruel. Mr. Sinclair keeps his promises. Now keep yours. The Sinclair mansion was the biggest house Zara had ever seen. It had white columns, huge windows, and a driveway that seemed to go on forever. Inside, everything sparkled, crystal chandeliers, marble floors, paintings that probably cost more than Zara's entire apartment building. But Zara didn't care about any of it. All she cared about was a hospital bed and an enormous bedroom upstairs, where Owen lay perfectly still, pretending to sleep. "You'll spend every day by his side," Vanessa instructed, standing in the doorway with her tablet computer. "Nurses will come and go. Doctors will check on him. You will hold his hand. You will talk to him like a loving wife. You will cry sometimes, but not too much. Do you understand? Why are you making me do this?" Zara asked, "What's the point?" Vanessa's eyes went cold. "That's not your concern. Your only concern is playing your part. Because if you don't..." She tapped her tablet, and Zara's phone buzzed. It was a photo of her mother, still weak and pale, lying in a hospital bed. Accidents happen in hospitals all the time, Mrs. Sinclair. Medication errors. Equipment failures. It would be such a shame if something went wrong after that expensive surgery. Fear shot through Zara like electricity. "You wouldn't." "Mr. Sinclair protects his investments. As long as you're useful, your mother is safe. The moment you become a problem..." Vanessa shrugged and walked away, her heels clicking like a countdown. For 3 weeks, Zara lived 2 lives. During the day, she was a perfect wife. She sat beside Owen's bed in a soft pink sweater and jeans, holding his hand and reading him books. She talked to him about the weather, about memories she made up, about how much she missed him. Nurses smiled sadly at her. Doctors patted her shoulder and said she was so brave. But at night, when everyone left and the mansion grew dark and quiet, Zara became a detective. She noticed things, strange things. There were cameras everywhere, tiny black dots in the corners of rooms, hidden in picture frames, tucked into light fixtures. Someone was always watching, always listening. And Owen was too perfect. His breathing never changed. His body never shifted naturally, like a real sleeping person. He was acting, and he was very good at it. One night, Zara waited until the hallway camera's little red light stopped blinking. She had learned their pattern. They went dark for exactly 90 seconds every hour when they rebooted. 90 seconds to move without being seen. She ran down the dark hallway, her bare feet silent on the thick carpet. The mansion was like a maze, but she'd been exploring it bit by bit every night. Tonight, she'd finally found what she was looking for. A door hidden behind a bookshelf in Mr. Sinclair's study. A door that led down into a basement. The stairs were steep and wooden, creaking under her weight. Zara's heart hammered in her chest. If anyone caught her down here, what would they do? Would they hurt her mother? But she had to know the truth. The basement was full of filing cabinets, old boxes, and dusty furniture. In the corner, Zara found a lock cabinet. She pulled a hairpin from her pocket. She'd learned to pick simple locks from a YouTube video on her phone, and after a few tries, the lock clicked open. Inside were medical files. Dozens of them. Zara pulled out the one labeled Owen Sinclair, Confidential. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside were doctor's notes, x-rays, and surgical reports. But one page made her blood turn to ice. Patient underwent successful chest surgery on March 15th. Device implanted as requested by Theodore Sinclair. Device is a modified pacemaker with remote activation capability. Can be triggered to simulate cardiac arrest. Patient is unaware of implant's true purpose. In the event of activation, death will appear natural and unavoidable. Zara had to read it 3 times before her brain could understand what it meant. Mr. Sinclair had put a device in his own son's chest. A device that could kill him. A device that could be turned on whenever Mr. Sinclair wanted. Owen could be murdered with the push of a button, and everyone would think his heart just stopped on its own. Now you know. Zara screamed and dropped the file. She spun around. Owen stood at the bottom of the stairs, wearing gray pajama pants and a white t-shirt. His dark hair was messy, and his eyes, those eyes she'd seen open for just a moment at the wedding, were wide awake and staring right at her. "You're awake," Zara whispered. "You've been awake this whole time." "Yes." Owen walked closer, moving quietly like a cat. "And now you've found my father's little insurance policy." He picked up the medical file from the floor and looked at it with sad, tired eyes. A kill switch built right into my heart. Clever, isn't it? Why? Zara's voice cracked. Why would he do this to you? You're his son. Owen laughed, but it was a bitter, angry sound, because I found out what he did. 6 months ago, I discovered that my father has been bribing city inspectors, using cheap materials in his buildings, and covering up accidents that kill workers. When I threatened to go to the police, he decided I was too dangerous to live, so he arranged my accident. The car crash wasn't an accident at all. His men ran me off the road, but I survived, so he came up with a new plan. Owen sat down on an old wooden chair, looking exhausted. He told everyone I was in a coma. He had this device implanted while I was recovering, and he told me that if I ever woke up, if I ever tried to expose him, he'd press the button and my heart would stop. Then he'd make it look like I died from my injuries. Zara felt sick. So you've been pretending to sleep for 6 months? Just lying there trapped? What choice did I have? If I wake up, I die. If I try to run, I die. If I go to the police, I die. Owen looked up at her with desperate eyes. But then you showed up, and I thought, maybe, if someone else knew the truth, we could stop him together. Zara finished. It's dangerous. If my father finds out he'll hurt my mother. Zara touched her silver locket, thinking of her mom recovering from surgery 3 floors above them in a hospital that Mr. Sinclair probably controlled. He's already threatened her. That's why I'm here. That's why I married you. He said he'd pay for her surgery if I pretended to be your wife. Owen's eyes filled with something like respect. You did this to save her. Yes, and now we're both trapped. Zara sat down on the floor, suddenly feeling very tired. What do we do? Owen was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, we fight back, but we have to be smart. My father is powerful, and he's always watching. We need proof, real proof that no one can ignore. Documents, recordings, testimony from people he's hurt. We need to build a case so strong that when we finally reveal it, he can't kill me, can't hurt your mother, can't escape. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. Owen leaned forward. Can you do it? Can you keep pretending during the day while we search for evidence at night? Can you keep this secret even when it feels impossible? Zara thought about her mother's smile. She thought about all the people Mr. Sinclair had hurt. She thought about Owen, trapped in his own body for 6 months, terrified and alone. Yes, she said firmly. I can do it. Owen held out his hand. Partners. Zara shook it. His hand was warm and strong. Partners. For the next 2 weeks, Zara and Owen became a team. During the day, Zara played the devoted wife, while Owen lay still as stone. But every night, during those precious 90-second windows when the cameras went dark, they met in the basement. Owen taught Zara how to hack into his father's computer files. Zara showed Owen the schedules of guards and nurses, finding patterns and weaknesses. Together, they made copies of documents showing bribery, false safety reports, and covered-up deaths. They discovered that Mr. Sinclair had been doing terrible things for years, paying off politicians, threatening witnesses, and destroying anyone who stood in his way. The company was built on lies and blood. We need someone on the outside, Owen said one night, studying their pile of evidence. A reporter, maybe someone brave enough to publish this, even if my father tries to stop them. I know someone, Zara said slowly. Jennifer Park. She writes for the Daily Truth newspaper. She did a story about hospital workers being treated unfairly last year. She's not afraid of powerful people. Can you trust her? Zara nodded. I think so. Then we make contact. Carefully. My father has spies everywhere. The next day, while pretending to go shopping, Zara met Jennifer Park at a small coffee shop across town. Jennifer was a woman in her 30s with sharp, intelligent eyes. She wore casual jeans and a blue blazer, and she listened to Zara's story without interrupting. If I publish this, Theodore Sinclair will come after me, Jennifer said finally. He'll sue me, threaten me, maybe worse. I know, Zara said, but if you don't, he'll keep hurting people, and Owen will never be free. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, a fierce, determined smile. I became a reporter to expose the truth. Let's do it. But we need everything. Every document. Every recording. Every witness. When we publish the story, it needs to be so solid that even Sinclair's army of lawyers can't tear it down. We'll get it, Zara promised. Back at the mansion, Owen was waiting. When Zara told him Jennifer was on board, relief flooded his face. We're really going to do this, he whispered. We're going to stop him. Yes, Zara said. She squeezed his hand. We're going to win. But neither of them knew that Vanessa had been watching, that she'd seen Zara meet with Jennifer Park, that she was, right at that moment, telling Mr. Sinclair everything. And Theodore Sinclair, sitting in his black leather chair in his office high above the city, smiled his cold, cruel smile and began to plan. The war was about to begin. The danger came faster than they expected. 2 days after Zara met with Jennifer Park, everything changed. Zara was sitting beside Owen's bed, reading him a story like always, when Vanessa burst into the room. Her red lipstick looked like blood, and her eyes were full of fury. Get up? Vanessa snapped at Zara. Mr. Sinclair wants to see you. Now. Zara's heart dropped into her stomach. What? Why? You'll find out. Vanessa grabbed Zara's arm hard enough to hurt and dragged her down the hallway. Owen's eyes stayed closed, but Zara knew he was screaming inside, helpless to protect her. Mr. Sinclair's office was dark and cold, with tall windows that looked out over the city. He sat behind his massive desk in his black suit, his gold cufflinks gleaming like warning lights. On his computer screen was a photo of Zara sitting with Jennifer Park at the coffee shop. Sit down, Mrs. Sinclair, Mr. Sinclair said quietly. The quiet was scarier than shouting. Zara sat. Her legs felt like water. I'm disappointed in you, Mr. Sinclair continued, turning the screen so she could see it better. I gave you everything. I saved your mother's life. And this is how you repay me? Meeting with reporters? Planning to betray me? I wasn't, Zara started, but Mr. Sinclair held up his hand. Don't lie. I have people watching you everywhere. I know about your little midnight trips to the basement. I know about the files you've been copying. I know everything. He leaned forward, his cold eyes boring into hers. Did you really think you could outsmart me? Fear exploded in Zara's chest. If he knew everything, then Owen was in terrible danger. Her mother was in danger. Everyone was in danger. Here's what's going to happen, Mr. Sinclair said, pulling out a small device from his desk drawer. It looked like a TV remote, but Zara knew exactly what it was. The kill switch. The button that would stop Owen's heart. You're going to call Jennifer Park right now and tell her you made everything up, that you were confused, upset, having a mental breakdown from stress. You'll apologize and promise to never contact her again. And if I don't... Zara whispered. Mr. Sinclair's thumb hovered over the red button. Then my son dies. Right now. And after that, your mother has a very unfortunate accident in her hospital room. It would be tragic. So many deaths, all because you couldn't follow simple instructions. Zara felt tears burning in. Her eyes, they'd been so close to stopping him. But he was too powerful, too prepared, too evil. She reached for her phone with shaking hands. But before she could dial, the office door exploded open. Owen stood in the doorway, wearing his gray suit and silver watch, looking strong and alive and furious. Behind him were 3 police officers in uniform and Jennifer Park with her camera crew. Hello, Father, Owen said coldly. Surprised to see me awake? Mr. Sinclair's face went white, then red with rage. How dare you? He pressed a button on the remote. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing happened. Owen smiled and pulled down his collar, showing a bandage on his chest. I had the device removed yesterday. Turns out, when you have detailed medical files proving your father implanted a murder weapon in your chest, surgeons are very willing to help you, especially when the police are involved. You can't prove anything, Mr. Sinclair snarled. I'll destroy you. I'll destroy all of you. Actually, Jennifer Park said, stepping forward with a recording device, "We can prove everything. We have the medical files, the financial records, testimony from 12 different workers you threatened, video footage of you just now, threatening to kill your own son and an innocent woman." She smiled. "And thanks to Zara wearing a wire for the past 10 minutes, we have a recording of you confessing to all of it." Zara's hand went to her silver locket. Inside it, Owen had hidden a tiny microphone that morning. She hadn't known if they'd need it. Now she understood it was their final weapon. Mr. Sinclair looked at the police officers. "You don't understand. I'm Theodore Sinclair. I own this city. I can make you all disappear." "No, you can't," said the lead officer, a tall woman with kind eyes. "Not anymore. Theodore Sinclair, you're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy, bribery, fraud, and about 20 other crimes we're still counting up." Two officers moved forward and put handcuffs on Mr. Sinclair's wrists. He fought and screamed and threatened, but it didn't matter anymore. The truth was out. His power was gone. As they dragged him away, Mr. Sinclair looked at Owen with pure hatred. "You will regret this. Both of you will pay." "The only one paying," Owen said quietly, "is you." Vanessa tried to run, but police officers were already waiting by the exits. She was arrested too, along with 3 other executives who had helped Mr. Sinclair cover up his crimes. The next day, the story was everywhere. On every news channel, every newspaper, every website. "Billionaire's empire of lies exposed," the headline screamed. "Son escapes father's murder plot." People were shocked, angry, demanding justice. Jennifer Park's article revealed everything. The bribery, the deaths, the covered-up accidents, the kill switch in Owen's chest. The city prosecutor promised the biggest criminal trial in decades. 3 months later, Zara stood in the rebuilt Sinclair Industries building, which Owen had renamed Sinclair Transparency Corporation. The old dark offices were now filled with light and windows. The old cruel rules were replaced with fair treatment and honest business. Owen walked up beside her, wearing a simple blue shirt and jeans. He didn't look like a rich heir anymore. He looked like a regular person who'd been through something terrible and survived. "The first worker's safety check passed perfectly," he told Zara with a smile. "Every building is being inspected. Every policy is being reviewed. We're doing it right this time." "Your father's trial starts next week," Zara said softly. "I know." Owen looked sad for a moment. "I wish things had been different. I wish he'd been a better person. But he made his choices, and now he has to face them." Zara squeezed his hand. Over the past 3 months, something real had grown between them, not the fake marriage his father had forced. Something true and honest and gentle. They were taking it slow, learning about each other, building trust. "How's your mother?" Owen asked. "She's amazing." Zara's face lit up. "The surgery worked perfectly. She's home now, and she's cooking again and singing again. She wants to meet you properly." "I'd like that." They stood together, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Mr. Sinclair sat in a jail cell, waiting for justice. Somewhere out there, all the people he'd hurt were finally getting their voices heard. "We did it," Zara whispered. "We actually did it." "We did it together," Owen corrected. "I couldn't have done it without you. You were brave when I needed bravery. You were smart when I needed help. You were everything." Zara felt her mother's locket warm against her chest. She thought about how far she'd come, from a scared janitor who thought she had no power to a woman who'd taken down an empire. "You know what I learned?" Zara said, "Truth is stronger than money. Courage is stronger than fear. And one person who refuses to give up can change everything." Owen smiled. "I learned something too. Sometimes the right partner makes all the difference. And sometimes the best things in life come from the worst situations." They walked out of the building together, ready to face whatever came next. The world felt bigger now, brighter, full of possibilities. Zara's mother was alive and healthy. Owen was free from his father's control. The truth had won. And somewhere in hospitals and offices and homes across the city, people were learning that standing up to powerful bullies wasn't impossible. It was hard, It was scary, but it could be done. All it took was courage, truth, and someone willing to fight. A message for you. If you're reading this story, maybe you felt small or powerless like Zara did. Maybe you faced bullies who seemed too big to beat. Maybe you've been scared to stand up for what's right. Remember this. You are stronger than you think. Your voice matters. Your choices matter. And when you stand up for the truth, even when it's hard, even when you're scared, you inspire others to do the same. Be like Zara. Be brave when things get tough. Be like Owen. Never give up, even when you feel trapped. Be like Jennifer. Use your voice to expose injustice. And most importantly, never let anyone make you believe that powerful people can't be stopped. They can. With truth, courage, and people working together, anything is possible. If you love this story, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Tell them they're not alone. Tell them they're stronger than they know. The world needs more people who refuse to stay silent. Will you be one of them?